Anjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathamvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamvitamsha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome to the Manah Shiksha class. In the last 2-3 classes, we have been quite elaborately discussing the commentary of His Holiness Bhaktivigyan Goswami Maharaj on this verse of Manah Shiksha. Ore chet prodayet kapata kutinati bharakhara sharan mutre snatva dahasi katam atmanam apimam sada tvam gandharva giridhara pada prema vilasa sudam bodo snatva tvam api nitaram mam cha sukaya. So we have been seeing His Holiness Bhaktiyan Goswami Maharaj comment on this, and how Maharaj first analyzes, ore, the mind is addressed very rudely here, ruffian mind. You are bathing in donkey's urine. Instead of that, the donkey's urine is in the form of kapata and kutinati. And instead of that, bathe in the ambrosial nectar of Gandharva Giridhari Pada Prema. And now Maharaj goes into, the kapat and kutinati. What is this deception? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The center is me. That is egocentrism. So that is deception. That is cheating. Kaitava dharma, as Vyasdev says. And the worst cheating is to sin. So cheating is not, Mother Earth also doesn't tolerate. And what is the role of the mind in cheating? Our heart is burning with the desire for calm, and same is putti, nati, and we are all burning inside in the donkey's urine. So Maharaj explains how the penalty for somebody who is a king who is cheats was that he would be bathed in donkey's urine and his head would become bald and everyone would recognize him as a cheater. And then yesterday we went into an exhaustive discussion on what is this pretense. We put on guises, and the beautiful classic example of Hanuman, who could not recognize his worshipable Lord Ram, although right from birth he was taking the name of Lord Ram because he had put a guise of a Brahmana. So how these guises, when we put, we end up cheating ourselves, and it is a very, very important thing that we have to give up this cheating tendency in order to become free from anartha, nivritti. And then we put on guises because of puja, labha, and pratishta, which is called as subtle sex desire. Because I have to become famous. I want to become famous. And yesterday we went into how we don't introspect, and look into ourselves. It's very difficult to look within ourselves because of external vision. And that's why we should have spiritual mentors whom we are already always, it's easy to look ourselves when we are in the front of the mirror. We cannot see the dirt on ourselves. So when we come in the front of the mirror, then we can see. So similarly, the dirt in the heart, when we have very genuine spiritual mentors, they can point out as a service again, and they can, look and really correct us. So yesterday we were discussing about this pretense, and we ended up here. How these small tendencies in a harmless way we begin, we get someone, we up and fight, and then we start stealing. We tell a joke and people laugh and we get intoxicated, and then we want to create some jokes so that people can laugh, and you take pleasure in it. And sometimes we, there's called as something called as uh, spiteful talk, or we can be snappy, not physically but verbally towards others. So all these actions are asat. So yesterday quite elaborately we discussed these examples, if you remember, about these different talks of asat. Now today we will begin with this paragraph. The theme is the path of deceit, 31 to 37. So this is all asat. So what is this path of asat is what Maharaj is going to elaborately discuss. Narottam Das Thakur calls such actions asat kriya, actions based on the false concept of life. A person does some trivials and becomes accustomed to behaving in this way. When we begin rendering devotional service, we start behaving in the above ways out of habit. Then small sins or innocent trifles turn into offenses. So this has to be carefully taken into account. And, out of previous habit, we have this asat kriya, tendency for asat kriya. And these small things, when we start doing devotional service, these small things leads to sin. And these will later on turn into offenses. I remember many, many years back, when very senior congregation devotee, very sincere, his son was, although grown up, although young boy, working as a software engineer, he was a little naughty. And he used to come towards me and behave in a particular way, trying to touch the feet and all. I said, don't do this, don't, don't do this. He was trying to push himself, and then I had to tell him very heavily. So this kind of a tendency and a habit we have, and these kind of things, when we do, it will turn into offenses. It will turn into offenses. So we should be very, very careful. Casual dealings will lead to casualty. There's a casualty ward in the hospitals, So we should not be casual in our dealings. Narottam Das Thakur says, Deha na kariha asta. Do not trust your body and your mind, because you will be cheating out of habit. Never trust your mind and never trust your body. When you project your bodily concept into the spiritual realm, you will start committing offenses. You will start committing offenses. If we have this tendency to deceive, we will end up deceiving not only ourselves, but we will deceive our spiritual master and the Vaishnavas. And in this way, we will be committing offenses. So this tendency to deceive, kapatata, is very deep rooted, as I was mentioning yesterday also. This sixth verse of the Manah Shiksha is about how dangerous it is to commit offenses on the spiritual path. These offenses burn us from within and deprive us of the opportunity to attain a true spiritual experience. These offenses burn us from within. The word kapata that Raghunath Das Goswami uses here has numerous meanings. Now, Maharaj is going to explain the difference between kapata and kutinati. It's very important to understand what is the difference between kapata and kutinati. The words that define kapata include deception, cunning, hypocrisy, slyness, fraud, trickery, evasion, self-justification, and eventually godlessness and sin. So this is the broad range of what really kapata means. It can be deception, cunningness, hypocrisy, slyness, fraud, trickery, evasion. Srila Jiva Goswami gives a very important definition of deception on the spiritual path. So Jiva Goswami speaks in his Bhakti Sandarbha. In his Bhakti Sandarbha, he explains that deception on the spiritual path is that outwardly we bow down before our Guru, the sadhus, the Vaishnavas, and Sri Bhagwan, while internally we do not have faith in them. So, externally you show, in your actions, but internally you don't have faith. And in fact, if one is very expert, he can easily detect it. When you bow down also, you bow down, because you have some purpose to achieve. You have some ulterior motive, you want to bow down and show humility, but you have a purpose, I want to extract something from this Vaishnava. I want some, some favor from him. So then, there is a mention in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ati Utsa Chorera Lakshan and Ati Namrata Chorera Lakshan. You show too much enthusiasm, it is Chorera Lakshan. It is a sign of a thief or cheating. And Ati Namrata, exhibiting too much of humility, is also Chorera Lakshan. I remember many years back, many years back, it was around 4:15, 4:20, and the temple opens at 4:30. So I went and opened the main temple doors, and one Mataji, she was a student, I guess. She was just entering, and she very enthusiastically, what time is the temple going to open? What time? I said 4:30. So she showed a lot of enthusiasm, to come and take darshan of the Lord. And, I was really surprised by that enthusiasm. And she immediately rushed, left her sleepers, and came rushing towards the temple. And she was sitting in the temple hall. And suddenly, another boy came in, and they were both sitting and talking inside the temple. So they had not come to take darshan in the temple. They were using the temple so that they can meet each other. So sometimes this Ati Namrata or Ati Utsa Chorera Lakshan. So externally we might bow down to Guru, Sadhus and Vaishnavas, but internally we don't have faith. So Raghunath Das Goswami says that kapata, the absence of faith in the Vaishnavas, in the Sadhu, in the spiritual master, and ultimately in Krishna gives rise to kutinati. So kapata gives rise to kutinati. Kutinati is hypocritical activities, absorption in external matters, spiteful talk, cruelty, and ultimately violence. So kapatata is basically the tendency and the behavior. Kutinati is the actions, what you do, hypocritical activities based on kapatata. So that's the difference between kapata and kutinati. And that's why Raghunath Das Goswami has used this kapata kutinati. So I mentioned Prabhupada gives the heights of hypocrisy in his Chaitanya Charitamrita, in one of the purports or in the introduction. That heights of cheating is what on an Ekadasi day, you go to bathe in the river and you dive deep and you take a straw and you drink the water. You're fasting from, water, but, so you have the tendency to deceive, kapatta, and you do activities, hypocritical activities based on that is kuti nati. So kapata, kuti nati. This all starts with the fact that inside I do not have complete sincerity or absolute unconditional faith, and I justify myself in every possible way. So the reason is because there is no complete sincerity. And, sincerity comes from the root word, Latin word, sincera, cera. Cera, ceramic tiles. So these are not real ceramic tiles which you see today, but they were like glass. Glass is transparent. You can see from one side to the side. So similarly, our heart should be like, like a glass. Whatever we are inside, externally also we are the same. Not that we are inside something else and externally we show something else. So this reason is because lack of sincerity and lack of absolute conditional faith. And that's why it is mentioned bhakti means one should be sincere, serious, and free from ulterior motives. Ulterior motives. All three mean the same. If you're serious, you're sincere. If you're free from ulterior motives, that's also sincerity. Such a mood manifests itself in the fact that I start focusing on something extraneous, such as watching TV or movies, and start thinking, I need this for my preaching so that I can preach in a more efficient way. I will tell them about this movie in the class. Then we engage in spiteful talk, and then into cruelty, and ultimately into violence. So you can see the series of events, how, kapatta will lead to kuti nati. Srila Prabhupada sometimes translates kuti nati as spiteful talk. In fact, it is a very sad chain. The Acharyas explain that the first manifestation of deception is that our attitudes towards the spiritual master becomes like the one we have towards common people. Deception starts saying, what's so special about the Guru? And in fact, in the Uddhav Gita also, this is one of the warning given by Krishna in the Uddhav Gita. This is root, and we should be careful that one should not have this attitude towards a spiritual master. And which is that verse which I'm, actually speaking about, where Krishna in the Uddhav Gita warns? Anyone knows which verse is what I'm referring to? Anyone knows? Anyone would like to try? Lakshmi Narasimhan Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I might be wrong, but I'm not recollecting the Sanskrit verse, but is it the verse like Krishna says, one should treat Acharya as myself and one should not...
Perfect verse. Acharya mam vijanyam.
Exactly.
Na avamannet karhachit, na martya buddhya suyet, sarvadeva mayo guru. Acharya Mam, Acharya is actually, Krishna himself. Is Sakshat Haritvena. Na avamanyet. One should not disrespect him. Karhichit attitude. And na murta buddhe. Marta buddhe idea of being an ordinary man. So this is, this is the lowest tendency one can go to. And Krishna is warning there that one should not, start thinking what's so special about the Guru. Especially this happens when you're serving the spiritual master for a long time and you're constantly with the spiritual master and observing the spiritual master. And you see that, I go for answering nature's call and the spiritual master also does that, you know, and sometimes the spiritual master is sick. I'm also sick. Practically there's no difference between me and him. you know, so we come to this kind of a conclusion, and this is very, very dangerous, very, very dangerous. Sat Swarup Maharaj tells an amazing story. How, what's so special about the Guru, he tells this amazing story. In the beginning, when Srila Prabhupada had just started spreading Krishna consciousness in New York, and his first disciples joined him, they arranged a public program for Srila Prabhupada. Among them was Rai Rama, one of the first disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Rai Rama printed posters which he stuck all over the east side in Manhattan, where they had their preaching activities. The poster read, "This man has changed the consciousness of the world." So this was in the pamphlet. This man has changed the consciousness of the world. Now, what was the problem in this poster? What do you think? What was wrong in this poster? Anyone? Just think about it. Ras Paranmataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I think the address as this man, I mean, it sounds
Yes,
very
this
ordinary.
man, the address as this man. That was a real problem. At that time, Srila Prabhupada was away. When he came back to New York, and after some time, Rai Raman proudly showed him the poster, Srila Prabhupada made a grimace. He made a grim face and said, "It is a very poor poster." At first, Sat Swarup Maharaj did not understand why Srila Prabhupada did not like it. Then Prabhupada said, "Guru cannot be called a man." Many times I've been observing, and it is a fact, um, you know, especially it has happened many times, and this is my observation uh, in IYF preaching. The IYF leaders, the brahmacharis, especially brahmacharis, I've observed, and even in the congregation, this is the statement they make. The brahmachari says, uh, I'm going out for IYF preaching because I have a lot of IYF boys whom I have to engage them in service, and we have this service in the temple. Oh, the IYF boys are there. They will do the service. So when you make such a statement, what is wrong in this statement? Anyone? What is wrong in this statement? Yes, Rasparan Mataji.
We are addressing them just as boys and taking it for granted. I mean, more
We
of
are
authority rather than service.
we are addressing them as boys. They are devotees. They are devotees. And I remember when very good IYF preacher, he made the same statement in front of a sannyasi, and the sannyasi corrected him. And he told, "Don't say IYF boys, they are devotees." And he continued. And even once I had to correct him, and still he continued. And, that small thing can lead to various serious deviations. Sometimes, uh, in the temple, there's a festival, and we say that, 4,000 people came for the festival. So what's wrong in this statement? Anyone? What about others? Are they hearing attentively? What about others? Subrat Prabhuji. What's wrong in this statement? Krishna Prabhuji.
4,000 people, 4,000 devotees came.
Yes. Because anyone who is coming to the temple, he's saying once at least Hare Krishna. So he's a devotee, he's a Vaishnava, according to Mahaprabhu's definition. So 4,000 people, So sometimes these subtle tendencies are there. First, we pull down the Guru to a level closer to our own. This is what hypocrisy or deception is about. Then we give our mind the opportunity or the license to focus on external things. As a result of this, people start to speak ill of each other. Very, very interesting statement Maharaj is going to make. Sometimes people tell me that when they belong to other societies, people did not talk so badly about each other. Like sometimes people who have joined the Krishna consciousness, they were connected to other spiritual societies. They have this experience, and even I have heard that people did not talk so badly about each other. How many of you have this experience? Raise your hands. Not many. Okay. So yes, I have this experience that, in the other societies, and especially it happens within the society, spiritual societies, because as we take up to the practice of Krishna consciousness, all the anarthas start coming out and we have to deal with it. The Yamuna is pure. The Yamuna is pure. But all the filth, the bubbles and all you see, that doesn't contaminate the Yamuna. Similarly, this ISKCON, the Hare Krishna movement is pure. But when we enter into it, we enter with all our material conditionings. And when we are bathing in the Yamuna or bathing in this institute with the chanting of the holy names, all these anarthas start coming out. So that's why, we should be very careful. But here devotees are always backbiting. This terrible behavior leads to beginning of cunning. This terrible behavior leads to the beginning of cunning in our life and deception. This is a sad situation because sometimes when we are careless in our spiritual practice, instead of purifying our heart, the spiritual practice starts reinforcing the problems found there. I'll just finish this paragraph. In world history, religious people committed so much evil and cruelty for this same reason, because they were not attentive to themselves and did not catch themselves cheating in time. The sequence of events is very important. We have a slight tendency to deception. It gradually starts growing until it finally turns into a demon. The demon can completely devour us. Therefore, the main quality of a devotee is frankness, simplicity, and absence of hypocrisy. So one of my friends who has been very upright in his dealings, in his especially financial transactions, he told me 7 instances since he joined within the 2-3 years, that how, in his transactions, especially with devotees, he was cheated. 7 instances, he told me. He joined for an online course which was offered by some ISKCON center on a particular topic. I think it was Vastu during the COVID time. And he specifically asked me and my wife both are going to sit together and attend it. And can we pay only fees register for one? And they said yes. And later on they said no. If both of you have to give exam, you have to pay double the fees. But when he had asked, clarified, they said no, you have to only pay once. So, this deception is very deep rooted, the tendency to cheat. So we have to be very, very careful how the sequence of events turn into a tendency, and then it turns into a demon, and that can lead to offenses. So the main thing is we have to be frank, simple, and free from hypocrisy. Okay, now Maharaj is going to speak about simplicity. Very, very, very important topic this is. Okay, so I'll take some questions on this if somebody has. Yes, Ras Paranimataji, you have a question.
Yes, Prabhuji. My question is that any spiritual seeker who may or may not come in contact with ISKCON, if he is coming in contact with ISKCON, then very nice. But sometimes people are, maybe they don't get the opportunity or whatever. So they are connected to some other spiritual organizations. But they, in their heart, maybe they have a sincere desire for spiritual, they are sincerely seeking some spiritual advancement. So, but then why does it happen that when we come to ISKCON only, the backbiting and this start, and they said that in other organizations this does not happen? Why this difference is there when the sincerity of the speaker is there and this, I mean, so in the slides that you showed, they said that in ISKCON it happens that there is backbiting and of the devotees and all, but this does not necessarily happen in other organizations. So the people who come to ISKCON or hills who go to other organizations, now when they come to ISKCON, we are getting authentic knowledge and opportunities, but the organizations, they may not they are not having. But both the seekers who go there, they are actually sincerely going for something. That we are fortunate enough is a different thing. So but then why does it happen that in those organizations there is no backbiting in spite of the fact that they are not authentic, and in ISKCON it happens in spite of the fact that it is an authentic organization?
Yeah, this is a very important question, and this takes a lot of time to really fathom. Now, firstly, I will narrate one example to explain this. The example is of a hospital. The example is of a hospital. Now, you go to an hospital and you see, especially in a hospital, well, in general sense, I'm mentioning that hospitals are well managed. The doctor comes on time on the is patient and also gets hospital called as ISKCON. When it comes to this hospital called as ISKCON, voice is breaking. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Is it clear now? Is it clear?
Clear. Yes.
Yeah. So when it comes to this hospital, I just repeat once again that when a patient who has a disease of the body, when he goes to the hospital, he says that, the hospital is well managed. Everything is happening very nicely. The doctors come on time, the nurses give medication on time, the hospital is cleaned. Everything is working pakka there in the systems there. And he, also gets cured of his disease and he comes out of the hospital. But the same patient, when he comes to ISKCON, and he is there in ISKCON hospital, and, he's actually sick. And he sees that, proper care is not taken, or, medication, his leg is wounded, and, somebody lifts his leg up and he gets more hurt. So things might be going all wrong, you might feel. There's no proper pakka management happening. Everything is not working, everything according to proper systems. But one thing which is happening right in this hospital is the medicine for the deep root of the disease of the soul is being administered. And he will get cured if he stays in the hospital. Now, why things are not properly happening is because in the material realm, in the management world, in the material realm, actually our ahankar is functioning there. And we think everything is going nicely and you are in control of things. But actually, you are prolonging your existence in the material world. But when we come to the hospital of ISKCON, our purification of the ahankar is going on. And we have a tendency to control and manage. And because this is, Devi Esha Gunamaya, Mama Maya Durataya, Mameva Prapadyante, Maya Metam Tarantite. Here the management is completely under the control of Krishna. And if we try to control here, only it is possible by 100% surrender. So, but because these material tendencies are there, things are going wrong, you feel here. But actually, from a deeper perspective, things are going right. Because our purification of the ahankar is happening here. Our purification of the ahankar is happening here. So in this hospital, the real purification is happening. And that's why sometimes, when you're in the hospital, things are not so good. Somebody is having a wound and somebody vomits, and that vomit also might fall on you, who are you're the next patient sitting in the next bed, staying in the next bed, and you might get that. So similarly, all the anarthas are coming out here, and we have to deal with these anarthas. And that's why when the Samudra Manthan Leela happened between the demons and the Devatas, with Vasuki as a snake and the churning rod, and what happened? The first thing, what happened when this churning happened? The poison, alahal, came out. And when this poison came out, it spread everywhere and everyone was disturbed. And ultimately, Lord Shiva, who's the Vaishnava Yata Shambhu, he had to drink that poison. So similarly, when we take up to the chanting, all these anarthas start coming up. And just like in the hospital, there is, a lot of contamination. There are germs, and that's why the doctor is very careful. He's wearing his dress, he's wearing the gloves, he's continuously washing his hands. Doctors do that so that he doesn't get infected. Similarly, in the spiritual hospital, the spiritual master is very careful. And all these patients which are there, which are getting purified, all these anarthas are coming out, he has to digest it, by his purity. By his purity, he has to digest it. So in other spiritual organizations, everyone, is the center of their own, false ego. And everything is managed very nicely. But the purification process is not happening because it's not a bona fide process they have taken up to the chanting of the holy names. So everyone is patting their ego and everything is going nice. But here in the spiritual hospital, the purification of the ego, ahankar, is happening and the anarthas are coming out. And that's why we might think so many things are going wrong, you might feel, but everything is going right. Everything is going right. From a deeper perspective, from a higher perspective, everything is going right. Because Maya Dakshena Prakriti, everything is under, the control of Krishna here. Here, they are being controlled by Maya, and they feel, based on material laws, everything is going right. And that's why we see that sometimes in material organizations, everything is well managed, everything is going systematically. They seem to be doing very well. And you can see sometimes in the spiritual management, things are not properly, going well, because, ultimately we need to surrender, and then only, we can achieve things. So here the purification of the ego is happening, and that's why we need to recognize this and understand this. I hope this, makes sense and makes it clear to you, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, Krishnapad Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, your example of hospital has made it quite clear. But I have a concern from the point of view of those who get repelled because of this kind of, kutinati probably, which is the outer layer.
Yes.
Many times, some devotees who take some guidance from somebody, they can get this deeper perspective and can be connected back to the, organization. But some just leave because of heart being broken on account of misbehavior. So how can we see it, or is it something like that we call Vrindavan, which is manifest in front of our eyes, is only external, and internally Vrindavan nature is different?
Yes. So regarding this, we will discuss when we discuss, how, this kapata needs to offenses. And that time, we'll address this question. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll come up in the next theme. So now Maharaj spoke about it, that the main quality is frankness, simplicity, and absence of hypocrisy. This is what, sometimes it can alienate, devotees. It can alienate devotees. So let us now first discuss this theme, and then the next theme, it will come up. These things can lead to a trail of events, and especially to offenses. Simplicity and determination. This is a very, very important topic, and this is very, very, heart transforming, I can say. So it's important that we should be very simple and we should be free from hypocrisy. Now, Maharaj defines what is simplicity. In the Hitopadesh, there is a very interesting verse. Manasya ekam, vachasya ekam, karmanya ekam, mahatmanan. Manasyanyat, vachasyanyat, karmanyanyat, duratmanam. Manasi ekam, vachasi ekam, karmani ekam. One who thinks, speaks, and does the same thing is called a Mahatmana. Beautiful definition of simplicity. And I don't know, in the previous class we discussed about this. So in the mind, I think, I have good thoughts about this devotee, and I speak about it also. Vachasi also ekam. But in my speech, I speak good about this devotee, but in my mind, I think something else. That is not simplicity, that is duplicity. And I say, I want to do some service. I speak about it, but in my actions, I don't do any service. So in our mind, speech, and actions, they all should be same line. They all should be in one same line. Then it is simplicity. That was who is a Mahatma. Manasya vachasya karmani. One who thinks one thing, says another, and does the third thing is called as a duratmana, a fool. In Russian, durak. So duratma is durak in Russian. That is why it is so important. And the Acharyas emphasize this point, that the main quality of a devotee is simplicity. That's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Saralta hi Vaishnavata. Vaishnava means simplicity. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that there are 4 essential qualities of a pure devotee. These are simplicity or frankness, being focused on the purpose, determination, or having one goal and determination to attain it, and not depending on the opinion of others. So these are the four essential qualities of a pure devotee: simplicity, focused on purpose, determination fixed in the goal to attain, and not depending on the opinion of others. The last quality is very important, because we will be able to persevere all these qualities, especially simplicity, if we do not depend on the opinion of others. We cheat because we always want to appear different from what we really are to impress others. That is the reason we cheat. In another article in Sajjan Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that for the dull people of Kali Yuga who find it difficult to remember four things, it is enough to remember just two things: simplicity and determination. So now Maharaj reduces from that 4 to 2. If we just do these two things, simplicity and determination, then everything is taken care. To do bhajan and to worship Krishna, we need these two things. However, if we lack even one of them, it is very difficult for us. If there is no basic simplicity of heart and no determination, we naturally won't be able to make advancement. A dependence on others people's opinion creates a situation where we are inconsistent. We are inconsistent. When alone, we are one kind of person, but in society, we are different. In some homes, in the hallway, there is a mirror, because before going out, we ask, how do I look? So Maharaj is giving this example. When alone we are one kind of person and in society we are different. Maharaj is giving example of in some homes how there is a mirror, and before we going out, we see how do I look? How will people regard me? Sometimes even in the homes of devotees, in the living room, everything is nice and clean, but in the bedroom, there is a bed that hasn't been cleaned for 2 weeks. So this is how, externally we show something, and internally there is all other things. Sometimes our mind resembles a 2-bedroom apartment consisting of a bedroom where our filthy nest is, and a living room where everything is in order, neat and tidy to impress others. Can you recognize this demon within us? Our honesty in desiring to attain Krishna also becomes manifest in our respect towards everything that is somehow or other connected with Krishna. If we want to achieve success on this path, this respect is a very important quality. Not only to respect Vaishnavas, to respect the things, because they are all related to Krishna. Above all, we must feel respect for the devotees. In no case should we offend them or talk ill of them. So in the society of devotees, because we are always in the association of devotees, we can see, when I was mentioning the hospital example, and one patient, he vomits. So his anartha comes out and he starts speaking about it. He starts speaking ill about those other devotees. Hypocrisy is there within our hearts. If we bring this hypocrisy into our society, it turns into an offense and it becomes even stronger. Srila Jiva Goswami illustrates this problem by an example from the Mahabharata. When Krishna came to Hastinapur, Duryodhan wanted to serve him. Duryodhan had organized a sumptuous reception for Krishna. All along the roadside, he had built banana arches and had women showering Krishna with flower petals as he went by. Dancers were performing to beautiful music, and a sumptuous reception was arranged with all the best food prepared by top chefs from all over the kingdom. Duryodhan said to Krishna, Janardhan, Keshav, you are a dear guest, our relative. you are our good friend. Please eat. Krishna refused. Duryodhana complained how unfair it was that Krishna was more favorably disposed to the Pandavas than to them. I have prepared this prasadam for you with love. You must accept it. Krishna replied, I am not obliged to accept anything. Duryodhana said, but aren't we your relatives? Krishna's heart did not budge. He said, you have been hating the Pandavas since your childhood, offending them without any reason, trying to harm them. The Pandavas are non-different from me. You don't love them, which means you hate me. So this is a deep reflection. Sometimes, in the community of devotees, one devotee who has good qualities and other devotees become envious and try to backbite, find faults. And that devotee, might say, oh, this devotee is envious of me. Even saying that is wrong on the part of that devotee. Because these qualities, what you are having, these qualities are a manifestation of Krishna, because Krishna has given you that qualities. And actually, he's not envious of you, he's envious of Krishna. So similarly, although Duryodhana is saying, I prepared this with love, but you don't love the Pandavas, you hate the Pandavas. And the Pandavas are non-different from me. So when somebody is envious of us because we have some qualities, and that person is envious because I don't have these qualities, why this devotee is getting more recognition, why so many devotees are around him and not around me. So we should not think that if we think that, oh, this devotee is envious of me, I should, remain far away from him. No, we should in our heart think, how I can help him so that he can also come nearer to Krishna. That should be our meditation and reflection. So here we see you don't love them, which means you hate me. One can eat only when the food is offered with love, or if one has nothing to eat. I have enough to eat and I don't feel any love. Lord Krishna was very frank. Sometimes devotees don't frankly express, and they just, simply straightforwardness also should be there in the dealings. So please do not feed me. I will go to Vidura. I do not want to get contaminated by your nasty food because there is no love in it. There is only cheating. There's only cheating. Srila Jiva Goswami says that sometimes people appear to be serving Krishna, but if while doing so they do not respect the Vaishnavas, then they are committing an offense and Krishna will not accept their so-called service. In the end, the heart may only get farther from Krishna than it should have been. So this is how, these things can lead to offenses. And Maharaj in the next theme will come to what is this offense and cheating and what is their relationship with cheating and offense. This is a very, very important topic and I don't want to start this theme. We will take it up in the next class. So any questions on this up till now? Up till now. Yeah. Good questions. Lakshmi Narasimhan Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Wonderful class. So this is just like a common thing which I have observed is like you might not be speaking bad about others, but as usual, when there is a big congregation or when a big organization, there would be all types of people in it. So one devotee might speak about another devotee, say, oh, he did like that, he did like this. The devotee might be at fault or something like that. In that case, how should we deal with them, Prabhuji? Okay. So what is called an offense and what is not called an offense in those situations?
Okay. See, specifically to generalize it is difficult. You have to see specific cases. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Vaishnava Ninda article mentions what exactly constitutes as offense, aparadh. He first of all defines who is a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava he defines from Bhagavad perspective, from Chaitanya Charitamrita perspective. From the Bhagavad perspective, he mentions, he quotes the Bhagavatam verses and he defines who is a Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. But from the Chaitanya Charitamrita perspective, he explains that anyone who takes once the name of Krishna, he's a Vaishnava. Tare kare saman. You have to offer respects to him. And then what actually constitutes aparadh, he's very clear about it. There are only three kinds of faults one sees in a Vaishnava. One is previous to taking up to devotional service, his previous habits. Or he had been smoking or he had been drinking. You speak about it. Or that devotee, you don't know his nature. He was, before coming to Krishna consciousness, he was drinking. So when you say that, then that constitutes an aparadh. While he has taken up to Krishna consciousness, actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes it very clear, pure devotional service, but we can also take it in Krishna conscious perspective because we have begun some kind of sadhana and there is anarth nivritti happening and there is the trace of, the conditioned nature, swabhav, which is called as swabhav. So, drishte swabhava janita vapu. So, in this swabhav, we see dosh, we find faults. It constitutes an offense. And then even some exalted Vaishnavas, because of daiva, they might commit something wrong, some mistake, and we find faults. And you falsely accuse the Vaishnava based on these three, that is what constitutes as an offense. And you do this without any higher purpose. Then it constitutes an offense. Now, with respect to service, somebody might, have a particular way to do this thing. Somebody might oppose it. And there is difference of opinion. That is with respect to the service. And that has nothing to do with Vaishnava aparadh. We have to understand. But again, here I would like to say that devotees, when there is difference of opinion, sometimes we have this attitude, my way, highway. What I say, according to that, we should do. So these differences sometimes can lead to differences in our relationships with Vaishnavas. And that is only because of lack of maturity. And that's why we need to grow and we have to, become mature in our dealings. Even though we have differences of opinion, we should have good relationships with each other. So this is very, very important. So I hope this makes it clear. Okay, Krishnapad Prabhuji.
Sorry, Krishna. Prabhuji, about being straightforward, sometimes being straightforward is difficult. And especially the case you told about Duryodhan. Duryodhan was a khala. He was not a devotee. And probably Krishna could have spoken straightforward to him. But in association of devotees, how can we be straightforward and at the same time do not lead to some udveg or something agitating to the person?
Yeah, see, simplicity, yes, straightforwardness. Prabhupada, Saralta, when he defines, Prabhupada says very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita that, one should be straightforward in his dealings. Arjavam in that, in the 13th chapter, 8 to 12 verses, Amanitvam, Agambitvam, Ahimsa, Shantir, Arjavam. Arjavam is what? Simplicity. So Prabhupada says simplicity means without duplicity. And one should be straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. even to an enemy. This is the highest standard Prabhupada is giving. And, you know, the heights of this example is that suppose a robber barges into your home and he has come to rob, and you say, okay, there is here some money, you want to take it, please take and go away. Disclose the real truth that I have really the money. You can take it and go. So this is this is one of the examples Prabhupada is giving in one of his lectures. So that is simplicity. So in fact, we have to be very grave in our dealings with Vaishnavas. And although we have to be straightforward in our dealings, sometimes we might not express it and wait for a right opportunity and a time. And it requires maturity again. But our purpose is to help and serve that Vaishnava. Tell now straightforward, then he might not digest it and deal with it, and he might not rectify the situation and grow. But later on, at a certain point, you will wait. Maybe he'll understand the lesson on his own. And then to help him, you express it. But on the other hand, if we have this attitude, you see something wrong with it, but and let me not be straightforward and let me not express it and keep it, or you see something and straightforward you tell it without uh, being very carefully evaluative and based on time, place, and circumstance. Desha Kala Patra has to be seen. So all these, this is requires little sattvic buddhi, intelligence in the mode of goodness on, how to actually, uh, deal with the situation. I'll just give an example. Recently, one very close friend, congregation friend of mine, we were together in a Holy Dham Yatra, and, he was asking me, what is my nature? I said, because I've studied a little bit Ayurveda, and just by seeing a person's body constitution and a little seeing the psychophysical nature, observing, we can understand it. It requires a little study also. So, when I expressed that, I can understand the nature. So he said, tell me what's my nature. Now I knew very clearly his nature, but still I maintained a silence. It's not that, because it's straightforwardness, I just tell him, because I waited for an opportunity. I said, just do a, psycho prakriti analysis of your body, and then, you'll get to know yourself. So that's what the answer I gave. And he did that, and he sent me the details. So now he's more open to understand more his nature, and he wants more guidance so that according to his nature, he can do activities and more devotee to Krishna consciousness. So you want to help someone also. So you have to be carefully evaluate, and you need that patience and that, long term vision, long term, what is said, it said, Dur Drishti it is called. From a long term perspective, we should look into things. That is how intelligence functions. The mind is very, reactive. It doesn't think from the long term perspective. Intelligence is evaluative and it thinks from long term perspective. In this way, when we act, we can be straightforward also at the same time. Sometimes when we, when we are asked something, we know, and we might, maintain silence. We might maintain silence. And, that's not that we are not straightforward. So, silence also speaks, and silence can speak what not even 1,000 words can speak. So that's how a devotee has to, deal. I hope this is clear.
Yes, Guruji, yes. Very nicely explained. Thank you.
So the next class is a very important class, how these subtle tendencies of Kapata Kutinati lead to offenses. The whole trail of events are going to unfold, especially, the root of it. Where is the root of it? Maharaj is going to go into it and he will refer Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Sandarbhas for that. It is very, very interesting. So stay tuned and we will meet next week for this discussion. We'll require 2 more classes to complete this 6th verse. And then 7th verse is the last anartha in one sense speaking. So that is 7th verse. 8th verse, Raghunath Das Goswami is expressing his humility that I am although crooked, I am having all these anarthas, but you are more merciful. Please purify me. And then the 9, 10, and 11 are Prayojal. That doesn't require much discussion, and the commentaries are very short, but that will not take much time. So 4, 5, 6, 7 are very, very important, and 8. So we'll stop here. Shri Manah Shiksha ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Hare Krishna.